That's the Y Store. 7:35 the time, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. Welcome to the Mornings with Ed show on the Voice of Laguna. Delighted to have you on board across the country, across the globe, and here in our wonderful little corner of the world in Southern California. We welcome you. A great show up ahead, great music all day long. So today being Earth Day, coincidentally, the topic we're talking is trees. Yesterday, we had on city arborist Matthew Barker talking about the Arbor Day celebration that's going to take place Friday. I also asked some very pointed questions regarding the general health of trees and specific health of some trees here in Laguna Beach. And Matthew, absolutely magnificent credentials and well-trained as an arborist, is not leading the project on the promenade. The promenade, for those of you across the country, across the world that aren't familiar, we have a street called Forest Street. That used to be a smog-filled traffic lane, dangerous to walk across for pedestrians because people were fighting over parking spots. Well, that's now a pedestrian mall, if you will. And they're in the middle of constructing this pedestrian mall. It's the supposed finish date is going to be at some point in early June. Very ambitious, but nonetheless, as they work on it, they're finding some things that may be wrong with some trees in the area. We talked a little bit about it with Matthew, but he is not one of the arborists that is directly involved in that project. So let me let's backtrack a little bit here. About a month ago, exactly a month ago, actually, between a Saturday evening and a Sunday morning, this is March 21st and 22nd, over where they've cordoned off that project area, a mature eucalyptus tree, failed and fell onto the promenade's project work area. No one was hurt. This failure of the tree and the falling of it happened overnight. The project arborist, a lady named Katrina with a company called Dudek, who's often there at the site. Her role, among other things, includes overseeing designated tree protection zones that prohibit mechanized work around the trees. And the failure of that one tree left 16 other trees in or related to that project area, mostly eucalyptus, but a couple of ficus trees as well. Katrina started a review and analysis of the fallen tree and the reasons for why it failed. And it appeared to be that while the construction of the project itself had protected the tree roots around the tree, the removal of the curb and the asphalt exposed a root structure that was substandard. So the tree itself had a substandard root structure, including showing evidence of previous damage by other sidewalk project years ago. A side note here. I'm just going to take a little aside here. Tuesday. Yeah. Was that yesterday? No, Monday, excuse me. About 5:30, we received a Nixle report on your phone of, hey, attend this emergency meeting at City Council or on Zoom regarding the trees. Okay? The meeting was going to happen at 6. You get the urgent notice at 5:30. You go, wow, this must be urgent. We're about to get some serious information here. So the tree's failure led the city to ask Katrina to do a new and closer review of the health of 11 total other trees similarly situated to the fallen tree. These are 11 other trees that were in similar, similar patterns to the fallen tree. They were adjacent to a removed curb or a sidewalk with some of the roots exposed. Now, Katrina's recommendation to the city was that 9 of the 11 similarly situated trees be removed. They were going to at some point be dangerous. Some of the reasons were that a lot of the trees were girdled with root guards that are about 20 to 24 inches deep and immediately against the trunks. And several of the trees had impaired root systems that were squeezed between the 2 levels of sidewalk, old sidewalk and new sidewalk. And a lot of the trees had roots pruned for sidewalk repair work in past years. And those roots showed signs of decay. Okay? And these are great reasons for safety's sake, to get rid of the trees. I'm gonna give it to you the way it is here. Okay? There's a noticeable absence of structurally significant roots among the trees. Another tree, by the way, one of the largest ones that was adjacent to a store we have here called Tuvalu Home Store, had a lot of the root structure sitting on a huge base of concrete. That's not good. It leaves absolutely, really no roots on the side opposite of where it leans, right? So if that goes, it's going to go and it's going to damage a business and could certainly hurt everyone inside the business. So they got in, the city called in yet another arborist, someone named Evan from Monarch, to review Katrina and Dudek's work and to include Evan's own inspections of the tree. Okay? Now, their company, Evan from Monarch, agreed with Katrina and Dudek that 9 of the 11 trees should be removed. And then a total of 7 of the 16 total should be retained and continued to be monitored. Now, the city says they received the second report verbally on Monday morning and in writing by Monday afternoon, which is why when they received that, they knew they needed to call that emergency meeting, almost a town hall via Zoom. And, they do it because the city can't be in a position of having information concerning a tree and not acting on it, especially after one fell last month. So while safety in general demands that, they take action, obviously, another concern is liability, and we have an insurance carrier here at the city, and if they leave those trees in and one of those trees falls and injures somebody, it's doubtful that they would be, that would be a covered claim. You couldn't get coverage on that, given the information that they already had in hand that these trees were dangerous. They could also risk being directed by their joint power agency to get out of the joint power agency, and they'd have to go looking for their own insurance on the open market, which is a tough road to hoe. Okay, so the trees were removed overnight, Monday night into Tuesday morning. I'll get into the messaging disaster in just a moment. But the director of Public Works and Utilities is the person charged with overseeing the process for removal of any public trees. And he was advised of all the project information. He reviewed the arborist reports from both arborists, from photos, got the second opinion as well, discussed the circumstances with our city manager and our city attorney, and agreed that the 9 trees along the promenade did meet the criteria for the tree removal process to qualify for immediate removal. And that's when they removed it. The issue with a lot, with what I'm reading on the Text Connect here, a lot of citizens they got that. They understand that. They were, they understand the reasons for removing trees that are dangerous. However, during the emergency meeting on Zoom, there was no mention of we're going to remove these tonight. There was no mention of these are all coming down today, tonight, tomorrow. And they just felt a little, and I'll read directly from Clay in North Laguna, hoodwinked in that they were afraid to deliver the bad news. And that's essentially a messaging failure right there. Yes, you did everything was right about the trees. Everything was right about the need to remove them and the health of the trees and the damage that could be done and the liability that we would face as a city. But the messaging, you tripped over your own feet. You fumbled the ball. It was an unforced error regarding the messaging of this. And I think that if you were to ask 100 people in the community why they're angry about this, it would be that they weren't messaged that. And you had a golden opportunity because you had called that emergency meeting, a perfect opportunity to deliver bad news. Sometimes you just got to deliver. You know what? I like to receive bad news immediately. As soon as you know that there's bad news, I like to receive it. You know, all right, I'll deal with it. Thank you. I'll deal with it any way I can. Yeah, whatever. But give it to me straight. You call an emergency meeting and there's a hour and a half conversation. How about just giving me the bad news right away? And I think that that's where the failure happened, a failure of messaging. Tomorrow we have our mayor, Mark Orgill, in for the conversation. I would ask you to tune in to that tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. It's 7:47.
The Mornings with Ed show will be right back.
Live life